Alright, I'm using a new mic right now, and I don't think this. I honestly don't think it makes any difference. I feel like my audio quality is still shit. Doesn't help that it's raining right now.
Wet.
Filming in my house is just not really like ideal anymore. It's just, it always feels noisy. The lighting is always off. Not that the lighting in here is better, not that it's less noisy. I don't know what I'm doing with my life basically. I know I said in June I was going to post more content, and that was a lie. Well, it wasn't meant to be a lie. But it ended up being a lie. June was kind of shitty, like mental health wise. Like a lot of things just decided to come down on me in June. I don't know why. There were several other months in the year, and there will be several other months, but June decided to be that month for some reason.
Oh, she's taking it.
And I haven't really been feeling good. I have not been feeling happy about like the content that I've been making. I don't feel like I have the right, environment, the tools, the energy that I need to make good content. But I'm like, you know what? If I just like internalize that, I'm just not going to make anything. So I might as well make subpar content for the time being, and then eventually maybe I could post more stuff. I don't know why I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? Anyways, so that's a really like irrelevant intro to what this video is about, and that's young adult literature. If you watched my last video, which many of you haven't, I'm sorry, I talked about like when I first got into booktube, and actually around the time that I started getting into reading as a hobby was also around the time that I got into booktube. So booktube has always been a part of my reading life, and that first, I would say 2 years of watching booktube, I was just reading whatever was popular on booktube, and at the time it was of course, the typical young adult, literature that everybody was reading. So in 2014, when I started reading for fun and when I discovered booktube, I was reading John Green, I was reading the Hunger Games, Divergent was a big thing. The next year I started reading the Lunar Chronicles. So I was just really, really into what was popular at the time. Then I would say like 2 years into it, that's when I kind of discovered my niche, the type of YA that I really like, which is specifically young adult contemporary literature. But not just any young adult contemporary literature, but the kind of books that deal with issues of identity and culture and those types of things. Like, that's what I found to be really interesting. Fast forward to 3 years into being a reader, that's when The Hate You Give by Andrew Thomas came out. And I would not say that The Hate You Give was the first of its kind at all, but it was definitely the first to create a shift in the publishing industry. After that, a lot of young adult literature that focused on like issues of structural oppression, identity, culture, immigration, those types of books became really, really popular, and that's what I was reading. And more specifically, I got really into the young adult literature that focused on like the Muslim experience. I mean, my first ever booktube video was a review of Written in the Stars by Aisha Saeed.
Damn, this is some scary shit. Oh, I am scared.
But then later on, in 2017, you had S.K. Ali's book Saints and Misfits come out, which I still have a review for that up on my channel. You could probably go watch it. I think it's quite dated, and I was wearing a really ugly shirt.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god, what is that?
And that kind of became my brand for a few years. I was the person who read young adult contemporary literature about Muslim characters. Being a Muslim myself, I felt like, okay, this is kind of like the perfect niche for me to kind of like, create a name for myself in this online bookish sphere. And also I was just genuinely enjoying that type of literature either way you take it, right? And then eventually I kind of just stopped reading YA. I would say, I mean, I haven't stopped like hard stopped reading YA, but I would say around like 2020 I did this video, I did these 3 videos at the end of 2020 where I talked about the 33 books that I read in the order of my least favorite to favorite. So I did like part 1, which was the 11 least favorite, then I did the middle tier 11 books, and then I did my top 11 books of the year. The list, looking back on it, was very like YA heavy in the middle and the end, but towards the top is where most of my adult literary fiction was. And I realized that, this is the kind of literature that I want to read now. I've kind of officially outgrown YA, and I want to focus on reading adult contemporary literature. And I was wondering, like, what was the transition from YA to adult literary fiction? Like, why adult literary fiction out of any other genre in particular? And I realized that adult literary fiction is just basically the adult version of the YA books that I was reading. As I said, I wasn't just reading any like YA contemporary novel, like those romance novels and whatnot. I was really reading the books that focused on, as I said, issues of culture, identity, books that address really vulnerable topics, books that address things like grief and intergenerational trauma. Those were the type of YA novels that I really, really enjoyed. And I realized that what I was enjoying in YA, I was beginning to get in adult literary fiction. So I guess the kind of YA novels that I was reading was like YA literary fiction, if that's a thing. And I think that that's a normal transition for a lot of people, right? So, like, I'm sure a lot of you who read romance, maybe you all used to read a lot of those young adult contemporary romance, and then as you got older, and as romance started to become, I don't want to say more mainstream, but a little less taboo, I feel like a lot of people might have transitioned to reading more adult romance, and maybe that might be the case for those of you who used to read predominantly, like, young adult science fiction and fantasy. Maybe you transitioned to reading adult science fiction and fantasy now. I don't know, but I think that's just really just a natural course of growing up as a reader. Like, you read the things that are targeted towards your age bracket, and then as you get older, you read the things that, are still, targeted towards your age bracket, but you're older. I don't know how to speak English at this fucking point. So yeah, I guess you could say that's the reason, the first, that I stopped reading YA. I just found what I was looking for in YA in adult fiction. But I would say the second reason that I stopped reading YA had more to do with what YA was becoming. And we have to go back to The Hate You Give for this. That book kind of created a precedent for a lot of these young adult novels that focused specifically on characters who were marginalized in some way, right? So whether they're part of an ethnic minority in the global north sense of what an ethnic minority is, right? Or whether they're LGBT or something of the other that is considered marginalized in our world. Those stories became what was marketable, to the point where all young adult novels that had a character who was not white or not straight or whatever had to do with racism or homophobia or some sort of structural oppression. These books became mediums through which these issues could be addressed or discussed or talked about. And in some cases, it was just really on the nose. In many cases, it became very, very, very on the nose. To the point where you'd have 15-year-olds in a young adult novel, literally explaining to you what racism is or what cultural appropriation is, and I'm just this is just very inorganic, and it feels like we're just sort of shoving and shoehorning things into books to sort of make a point or to meet a quota or to fit a standard in the publishing industry, right? One book came out addressing police brutality in the United States, so suddenly every book about a black character needed to address police brutality in the United States in order for it to be publishable. And I'm not saying that those books are not important and that we should dismiss them. Sure, they have their value, but when every book is like that, it just becomes oversaturated, and it kind of reduces a person's humanity to their social issues and the politics that defines their life. And that's not really good. And the other thing about it, as I was saying before, is how inorganic and performative some of these books come across. I felt like I read some of these books and there were points where they were just sort of beating the reader over the head with all of these issues and explanations, or they'd have a certain character who's of a certain marginalized background almost be like a token in the story to explain their side of things or their experience of things. I've read things like that too, and I saw it a lot in the Muslim YA books. I'm not going to lie, after a while, a lot of them started to have a lot of the same plot. It was always about some Muslim girl and her name is Fatima, and she's in love with this boy named Imran who's also Muslim, and her family really likes him because he's Muslim and he's brown or whatever. But then she falls for Derek, Derek, the cool white guy from school. She wants to just live life with Derek, right? And now she's in a love triangle, and it's what does she choose? Does she choose the guy who makes her swoon, or does she choose her culture and her family? And she's just such a good Muslim, but then Islamophobia is happening, and it's really hurting her family, and she's so proud to be Muslim even though she doesn't pray. Okay, we get it. We get it. Could we have a plot that is not about that but still follows the same kind of person? It just became tiring after a while, and it started to become a little bit formulaic. And with adult literary fiction, you know, those issues are addressed. Obviously, issues of structural racism and culture and identity and belonging are addressed in adult literary fiction, but in most cases it's done in a way that is very organic. It's done in a way that doesn't pander or beat you over the head, or try to define issues for you. And I feel like a lot of the YA books that I used to read, the books that fall into the category that I used to read for young adult literature, sort of became that, and I just became a little bit tired of it. So yeah, suffice to say, I haven't stopped reading YA, and I'm not going to stop reading YA. I haven't read a YA book in a really long time. I think the last one I read was in August of last year, and I'm now reading another young adult novel since then. It's Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. It's a reread for me, one of my old-time faves, and I'm really, really enjoying it. Like, this is a quality young adult novel, y'all. This is good. This is good YA. Not that all the other books that I, used to read were not of great quality. I just think that I outgrew them, and I didn't really care for what they became overall. Also, I don't like these new covers. I don't like. Listen. I don't know where this idea of like real people on the cover does not look good comes from. But you can't tell me that this cover and this cover and this cover and this cover are not absolutely gorgeous. These are some of my favorite young adult novels, but these are also some of my favorite covers of all time, and they feature real people on the cover. Okay?
Okay.
I just prefer the people on the cover. Like, I found that was so much more cute. Why do y'all like to change things so much? Why can't some things stay the same? Why do we have to change everything? Why does the world have to change?
Bedtime.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep making videos and content for y'all. This is really hard. Like, I don't know why I'm still here. I don't know why I'm still making YouTube videos. I don't know why I'm still trying. The algorithm at this point is like, bitch, we don't fucking care about you. I am still trying. So please like this video and give me attention. Thank you.
Pay attention to me! Pay attention to me!
Anyways, I would love to hear some of your reflections and thoughts on this issue. Like, do you feel the same way about YA? Have you also outgrown it? Do you still read YA as an adult, which is totally fine, by the way? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this whole discussion. Also, like, if you disagree with any of the points that I made, please, like, don't be mean to me, because I'm in my sensitive era right now. And, like, I really don't want to be cancelled, because I feel like that would really mess with my mental health. Okay? And I don't want to have to do like a ukulele apology video, because I can't play the ukulele because I'm untalented. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading. Oh my god, what is wrong with me?